I'd like you to think back to a time when you customized or you tweaked something. Maybe it was on your computer or how you organized a room, where you spent a lot of time in that organization and setting it all up, and then discover, oh my goodness, I've got to do this again for another room or another computer. Well, wouldn't it make sense if we could somehow take the work we did originally and simply snap our fingers and replicate it? Well, I've got some great news for you in SharePoint. If we're creating document libraries and we have a customized document library with all the correct views and columns, it's all just perfect, we can save that as a template. And then when you and I create new document libraries, we can use that template, and all that customization comes right along inside with that new document library. And that, my friend, is what I'd like to walk you through in this nugget. Like many of our demonstrations, we are going to do this from our Windows 10 machine in the hands-on lab environment. We'll log on as the user Bob by supplying the lab password, and we'll log in. Here on the Windows 10 desktop, we'll go ahead and launch Chrome from the icon in the taskbar by clicking on that icon. The default homepage for the browser is currently set to our SharePoint server, and we're going to log in as administrator with the lab password of NUGGET !23 and press enter to log in. So while that's bringing up the web page, here's what we're going to do. We're going to identify a document library that we've customized or tweaked that is quote unquote perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to save that as a template. And then when we create future document libraries as an app, we can select that template and have all of those settings already set as our starting point when creating a new document library. So let's use engineering one more time. On the left-hand side in the quick launch area, we'll select engineering subsite to take us to that site. And then on the left in the quick launch area, let's select engineering document library to take us to the engineering document library. And let's imagine that we've gotten into the settings of this document library and we've tweaked it and configured it, and it's just about perfect. For example, we've got a couple views. We have the all documents view, and we also have the our new view that we created in a previous nugget. And as far as customization goes for this document library, if we wanted to further customize it, we could go ahead and click on the Library tab in the upper left-hand corner, and then from the ribbon, select Library Settings to further configure this document library. So let's do that now. We'll click on Library Settings, and as we scroll down this list of settings, you'll notice there's lots of details that we can customize and modify regarding this document library. In addition to views, we can also control the columns involved, and as we continue to scroll down, it's showing us the views involved, including the All Documents being the default view. And we also have our new view, which is available because we created that view in a previous nugget. So let's imagine that this document library is like the perfect starting point that we want to use for any new document libraries. So to do that, we are going to save this document library, but we're going to save it as a template. And to do that, we're going to scroll all the way back up to the top of the settings area. So we're focused on the engineering document library and the settings section for that library. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on this link right here. Save document library as template. So we'll go ahead and click on that link, save document library as template. It wants a file name for the template, so let's call it DLT1 for document library template 1. And for the template name, let's use something a little bit more friendly. So that way when we see our DL template, we'll know that it's something that we created. And let's scroll down just a little bit more. Now here we have an option to include content. Now that probably is not what you want to do all the time, because if you include content, whatever the files are in this document library at this moment, they will also become part of the template and they will automatically show up in those new document libraries. So if there's some kind of a help file or some static file that you want to show up everywhere, that would be a good use for it. So in our scenario, let's imagine that the 4 documents that we have in our current document library, we want to include those as part of this new template. So all we need to do is check this little box right here to say include that content. So only tick this box if you're sure you want to replicate and have another copy of those same files in the new document libraries to begin with. In our example, I do. They're fairly small. And we'll scroll down and click on OK in the lower right-hand corner. And we have a nice success message, operation completed successfully, and we'll click on OK to go ahead and dismiss that message. So now it's dropped us back into the settings for our original engineering document library. So now that we've saved this document library as it currently is as a template, we can use that template to create additional document libraries. Let's go ahead and do that. So because we are in the engineering site at the moment, we can go ahead and use the gear. And from the gear drop down, we can select add an app. And the template that we just created will show up as an app. So we'll click on Add an App from the Gear drop-down menu. And we could scroll down and find it, but I'm going to go ahead and simply type in Hour and press Enter. And that should show us anything with Hour in it. And that list will be a little bit smaller than the original. And sure enough, there's our DL template right there. So whether you search for it by name or you scroll through your entire list of available apps, we would simply click on this right here to create a new document library based on this template. So we'll do that. We'll click on our DL template. It's asking us to name our new document library. And let's go ahead and name this DL2. And keeping the name short here is helpful because this can become part of the URL. So we'll click on Create. It's now creating that document library from the template. So here it is right here. It also says it has 4 items in it. So just a reminder, the 4 files that are sitting inside this DL2, this new document library that we just created, they're very, very similar to the 4 files that are in the original document library, but they're 2 sets. So if we modify the files here in this document library, it's not going to modify or change or affect the files in this document library for engineering. Just be aware that they're 2 autonomous and separate sets of files. Now, the other challenge we have is that this new document library may not be easy for everybody to get to until they have the URL or some link to get there. So over here for us, in our recent area, we have a link for it, but we don't have a link that's going to be persistent in the quick launch area for everyone. But we can fix that. We've done this before when we created a document library in a previous nugget. All we need to do is go to the settings of this new document library. We can give it a more friendly name, and we can go ahead and set the navigation to add a link over here in the quick launch area. So from this view right here, we can simply go to the ellipsis, and clicking on the ellipsis, there's an option to take us to settings for this new document library. So we'll do that. And then in our column for general settings, we'll simply select list name, description, and navigation, and we can update the friendly name as well as add a link over here to the quick launch so that users can get to that document library. So we'll click on list name, description, and navigation. And let's name this library Files for Project Banana. Maybe that's a code name of some type. And we'll also click on the radio button, yes, to add the quick launch link over on the left-hand side for the site. We'll scroll down and click on Save. And now over here on the left, we have Files for Project Banana, which is a link to that new document library we just created. So we'll go ahead and click on the Files for Project Banana to take us there. And just as a reminder that the files here in this document library are separate, let's demonstrate checking out a document from this library, and we'll see that the file in the other library is not checked out, it remains untouched. So let's use document 2 as an example. We'll right click on it. From the drop down, select Advanced, and then from that submenu, we'll select Checkout. And now it's checked out. Also, we have our new view, so we can see if we look at that view, which is right here, selecting our new view, it shows that it's checked out to the account that we're currently using. Now, that's for the Files for Project Banana. If we go back to the engineering document library, the original one, we can see here that document 2 is not checked out. And that's because it's a totally separate document in a different document library. So we go back to Files for Project Banana. Let me check in that document once again by right-clicking on it, selecting Advanced, and then from the submenu, selecting Check In, and clicking OK. So in this nugget, we did 3 basic things. Number 1, we identified a document library to use as the source for our template. We saved it as a template. And then third, we added an app. We selected the template that we previously made to create a new document library based on that template. And now, my friend, it's time for you to do the hands-on practice. So when you're logged in to your CPT Nuggets account, over on the right-hand side, there'll be a link for the lab. So you can practice all of this hands-on to reinforce what we learned in this nugget together. Meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.